Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Small Business Stories. You know me, your host. By now, you know the voice, Dr. LL, right? Loralyn Mears. We are here every week with all kinds of folks, entrepreneurs, small business owners, people that not only want to help other small business owners and entrepreneurs move forward, but people that are building their own businesses. And so we're learning from them, from their mistakes, from their successes, and we're all here to lean on each other and celebrate what successes we have. And when folks are down, we reach in and we lift them up, right? This is what we do. And with that, on the show today, we've got Matthew Mamet, and he is a technical advisor and business coach who speaks to innovation and helping companies grow. Hi, Matthew. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Loralyn. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here. It's going to be a fun session.
Oh, it is. We don't even hear that Boston accent from you. So I'm wondering what that's all about.
It's sometimes it comes out. When my favorite hometown team, the Red Sox, are losing, that's when you really start to hear it. But I try to keep it at bay for a more professional setting like the one we're having now.
Well, there you go, right? It's all about that. I know even me that my Canadianness sneaks out. People are like, ah, I'm like, yeah, I don't say a, but you do hear the out and the Z's in the process and things like that. They're just, the tells, right? It just
You can
happens.
you can take us out of our home, but you can't take the home out of us, I suppose.
That's right. And I'm loving the home offices you have. I always try to give folks the visual experience too, because most of our listeners download Spotify, iHeartRadio, all this sort of stuff, but they are not always dialed into YouTube. And so I'm looking at Matthew here. He's got a lovely bookshelf and angled rooftop and a nice, gorgeous red Cabernet color and some plants and things. And so it's kind of fun to look at the environment that people dial in from.
Well, thanks. I wouldn't count myself as an interior decorator, but I did pick this particular room wall color. I was allowed one color choice, and it was this.
Well, you chose well. Like I said, I see a
Thanks.
Cabernet, right? It looks fabulous. All right. So let's get into this. Let's talk about what you're seeing out there. You work with a lot of small businesses who are trying to figure out, everything from growth hacking, right? Which is the bill of goods everybody's been sold that that's actually possible versus the, yeah, got to grind it, get it done, and just make things happen. So what are you seeing out there in small business land and entrepreneurship land?
Well, I think what we're seeing in the work that I do the most of is how AI tools are accelerating these traditional tactics of growth hacking in digital environments. So the types of businesses that I work the most with are online businesses, digital businesses, web businesses, and they traditionally are trying to get people to find them when their customers are searching the web trying to solve their problems. And so those are performance marketing tactics, SEO tactics, and nowadays they are trying to be found in the LLMs themselves. So when a person goes to a Gemini or a ChatGPT and asks the LLM, "Hey, what's a great hotel in Boston?" Uh, how does your site get surfaced as the one that gets cited by the LLM when it answers that question? So what we're seeing now is on par with the dot-com boom of yore. In my experience, I was there for that one, and I'm here for this one too. So I guess I have a little bit of personal experience in terms of its fundamental changing of the game, and that's whether you're a big company, a small company, everyone's trying to figure out how to use AI and incorporate their business into being found on AI.
It is the new game, and there's a whole new set of rules, right? With every game comes a new set of rules. And Matthew, not to put you on the spot, and I'm certainly not going to cough up my age, but we look, for those that aren't enjoying the visual experience, we look the same age-ish. We have around that same 25-ish years of experience and all that sort of good stuff. Net, I was there too. The rise of .com to .bomb, Sun Microsystems. We put, Java, we put the dot in .com. So that's where
Yep.
I started my career all those million years ago.
And I was a
Dinosaurs.
Java engineer a million years ago.
There you go. Right. And see, at that time, dinosaurs were still walking the planet. Right.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. And then, but now these shifts have gotten crazy. So like you were saying, SEO, everybody was all about the SEO, backlinks, pay people, pay the devs, put the backlinks in. And now that's not flying. Now, the problem is small businesses are still paying fortunes to put the SEO backlinks. But where I've heard the movement is really going, the new rules are GEOs, global engine optimizations, where it's searching and crawling everything. What are you seeing? You're the Java engineer and tech guy.
Yeah.
What are you
I mean, I
seeing?
learned, thanks. I learned a lot about SEO from my time at TripAdvisor, which is considered to be, be one of the early
Sure.
and biggest beneficiaries of SEO. And you're right, in the SEO game, creating great content, creating lots of content, and getting people to link to that content was a big part of the game. And then even earlier than that, when TripAdvisor was first born, technical SEO, right? So getting your meta tags set up correctly, all your on-page factors, and what I see now is there are a lot of companies that are optimizing their meta tags and their robots TXT, hoping that it'll move the needle. But those tactics, they're not harmful. They're healthy and good tactics, but they're not needle movers anymore. And what the needle movers are now are creating deep authoritative content. So rather than creating lots and lots of content, it's about creating new information that is written by someone who really knows what they're talking about. So Google rolled out their what they call it's an acronym, EEAT updates a couple years back, and those companies that have adopted and followed those rules are the ones that are winning now. And so that means, hey, Matthew could write an article about what's a good auto insurance company in the Boston area, and say, hey, it's written by Matthew. He's a marketer or an advisor or a technologist. Google's going to say, well, you don't really know much about insurance, do you? And they're not going. While the content might be correct, it won't value that. Whereas if a licensed insurance agent wrote that very same article and that same content with 20 plus years of experience writing policies and guiding their customers to the best insurance companies, Google will say that's a person who knows what they're talking about. They have education on the topic. They're experienced with years of experience, and they're an authoritative person to write about this particular content. Those kinds of articles that are deeper and not thin articles are the ones that are winning. And folks that are running out looking for the quick growth hack of saying, well, I'll just have ChatGPT write me 500 articles. My advice to those folks is Google and company are way smarter than us, right? So if you think that you found some shortcut to the system, some kind of growth hack, rest assured that they've already discovered it and they've already put things in place. And I've seen from my own experience in the field that those content pieces do get crawled. So Google finds them, but they don't include them in their search index. So they'll say, thanks, but no thanks. This is content that I've seen a million other places, and it's not going to be helpful to our audience, right? So if people stopped using Google to find answers to question, Google would have a problem. So they want to make sure that every answer that they put is high quality, high education content, and high authority. So that's why I say there's no shortcut to growth. Growth is earned. It's not hacked. You might be able to have a small win in some of these growth hacks that you hear, but sustained growth takes the time it takes to create real value.
It just does. And I'm not surprised that you're on that page. Of course, I stalked you before we had our podcast, but it's also where this is a space where I play. And I have a lot of small business clients who just think they can use ChatGPT to barf up everything. And I'm always saying, oh, this is your business. Do you really think ChatGPT knows more about your business than you do? And people are just defaulting because of time, because of lack of critical thinking, because of all of these factors. But what's happening, as you said, Google's way smarter than the rest of us. They've got brilliant engineers, brilliant strategists, and they're out there trying to find ways to bring real value to the people that use their systems, because now it's all the value game. And we're in the trust economy. That's what it's about. So I need to be able to trust you. Are you AI? Are you fake? Are you this? Are you that? And we've got bots interacting with bots on our social media. So bots are creating all these silly little posts, and then the bots are finding them and liking them and spinning them, but it's not doing anything. And people don't understand that. Talk to our listeners and say, this is what you really, really need to know with respect to all that.
I think the number one thing that pops up into my head is it's okay to use these tools, automation, AI, ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, whatever your favorite model is, but use them as a co-pilot in your experience. So you yourself write, you yourself put your experience on the paper, but then run it through ChatGPT to use it as your editor. So take this content, and rather than have the AI tools create it from scratch, they're helping you condense it, make it SEO keyword rich, but not taking away your voice or, yeah, as you mentioned, just like barfing up some random facts. I think that you can still reap the benefit, and not can, you will reap the benefits of AI tools in terms of time reduction, because everyone is super busy, but you can't get down to total autopilot. And anyone who's trying to say that you can is probably sending you, selling you a bill of goods. And what this really means is it's referred to as human in the loop. So you use your AI tools to do tasks for you, chase down this white paper and find the link for it because I want to reference it in my post, or take this video that I created and edit it down to a 2-minute segment. Those are very helpful time-saving tools. You don't need a video producer. You don't need an editor. You don't need an SEO on-page factors expert. But telling ChatGPT, prompting it to say, like, write me a blog post about whatever, best hotels in Boston, you're going to get something that is a very concise book report. And Google doesn't want book reports. It doesn't want. It wants first-party proprietary information that adds to the body of knowledge in its index, not just replicates it.
Expert insights.
Expert.
Right? That's what you're searching
Yes.
for, right?
Yep.
And where I hesitate on all of that, so I agree, except for I don't put my content that I write into any of the Gen AI tools, because even though I know it's probably inevitable that everything ever written over time is going to be sold to some AI company and then to use it to feed their models, but I don't want my stuff there. I saw a really scary experience working with a couple of luminaries across the country here, writing books. We're contracted to write some books. And they were putting all of the content through to say, okay, again, how do we tighten this up? How do we have a unified voice? What kinds of things can we do to improve it? But I'm thinking, wow, then that's now in the LLM. And then what I think is proprietary and my skill and my insights and my expertise and all that stuff is now part of what's available collectively to the masses. And so then, and we tried it, did a little experiment. Then when I put something in and tested how much AI is in, it was a 40% match. And I'm like, this is fresh content. I didn't use any AI, but because my stuff is in there, it thinks about it. So I really don't like that. I'm having issues.
Well, this may be cold comfort, Loralyn, but it's probably too late. Everything has already been ingested. Every article from Wikipedia, every review that has ever been logged in TripAdvisor or Reddit, all the world's, at least the world's knowledge that it was available online it's already been ingested, and so if the goal is to not, give up your knowledge to this Borg that is being created, it's about keeping it off the internet at this point. Because if it goes on the internet, it'll be crawled
Right.
pretty
It's
quickly.
done. And you talk
Yep.
about Borg, right? Resistance is futile. So I have watched some Star Trek there too. And it's not just that. And you look at New York Times. So they've got this massive lawsuit in place saying that these AI tools benefited from the incredible depth and skill of all of the New York Times writers, which are among the best, right, in the world with
Mm-hmm.
respect to media. And I think, they must be crushed too. And it's the whole thing where, again, we're talking about back to the game. You got to know the rules, but you got to play by the rules and you got to be in the game or you lose the game. And so it's this whole, how much do I give? I'm always happy to share. I'm on all of this. You can just look at my body of work. It's all online. So it's there anyway. I don't know. I just have this resistance. I don't like putting my written content into the AI tools.
I don't blame you. I think there's a very interesting startup called SuperMe.ai. I don't think, Loralyn, that you'll be a customer, but it really is about creating a digital twin of each of us. And for folks that choose to join this particular new social platform, one of the first things it asks you to do is load up all of your content. Give us access to your Google Drive, your meeting notes, if you use like a Granola or a Fathom. And what comes out the other side is a version of you that is always online. And I mean, there's two ways to look at it, I suppose. There's the way that we started this conversation, which is, geez, I'm giving up control. But then the other way to look at it is, if you ever wanted to talk to me and say like, hey, he seems to be pretty smart about certain topics. Let's go see what he would say about my particular problem. You can go find Matthew's digital twin on SuperMe and ask me some questions. I've done it. I'm very pleasantly surprised with the quality of the output that comes out of it. It kind of sounds like something I would say. So imagine what that would be like at scale. If you could talk to, say, Bill Gates, then you say, Bill, you're a super smart person, or Warren Buffett, you're a super smart person, or maybe someday it could be, I would like to talk to my great great grandparents and find out what they thought of a thing. I don't know how we would pull that off because there's not a lot of recordings of my great great grandparents, but tools like AI give us a future possibility where they may actually happen.
I get it. I really do. And I see some of the benefits. And there are many, many, many days where I think, wow, if I could only clone myself to get all of these sorts of things done. But at the same time, the idea of having imposter me, digital me is absolutely terrifying. And, I've got almost 2 terabytes of content on my cloud of stuff I've done in recent times.
Yep.
And to think putting all of that out there and then it becomes this new treasure trove and I'm out there. I also think I'm just not that special, Matthew. Who's going to really want to interview Super Loralyn, right? The digital twin. I don't know.
Well, I wouldn't sell yourself short, Laurel. You've at a bare minimum, you've talked to a lot of different people,
Yeah.
And at a bare minimum, it might be interesting to get your digital twin's perspective on all the things that you've heard and learned in all of your travels. But I'm sure there's probably more as well. But yeah, the long-term implications of all this stuff is unknown, right? So I don't think that anyone would fault anyone for not wanting to take 2 terabytes of data and put it on a startup's digital twin site, and like, yeah, maybe there will be a negative outcome of that.
Right. You just don't know. I don't know. It's kind of, well, it is this really odd space, I think, that we've entered now as the world. And we're both those techno weenies, you more so as a full Java
But don't
engineer.
you remember? I mean, you pointed out that we were both there for the internet. Like,
Yeah,
people would say things like, "I'm never going to buy a book online. That's a crazy idea." Amazon
correct.
bookstore, like, I'm never going to do that. Why would I ever put my credit card into this internet?
Sure,
It's like not going to
sure.
happen. And nowadays, people are buying used cars online through Carvana. They're buying homes
I
online.
bought a house
Yep.
online.
You did?
Yeah.
All right. There you go. You're the case study.
I've always been though at that bleeding edge. So you know that the I forget the name of the chart, but like the early adopters and where
Right.
I'm always early adopters. LinkedIn, oh, no one's going to go there. I was number 38,000 in something. Now there's 900 million people
Yep.
on LinkedIn.
Hmm.
And so all of that sort of stuff. But yet I look at this and I've lived my life on the bleeding edge, not the leading edge, at the front. One of my first roles at Sun was to be a technology evangelist of all things, right? Advocating for all this crazy stuff. It's coming, be here. And as much as I'm Gen X, I identify as a Gen Z with all of the things and the lifestyles and the choices and stuff that I embrace. But I'm feeling it's getting to be a weird and wonky space. And then since I value relationships and in this trust economy, how do I leverage technology, but not, I guess, put myself at risk and be compromised to give
Yeah. Be
somebody
consumed
something
by it.
less?
Yeah. I,
Yeah.
well, I don't know that anyone really knows the answer to that. Of course, the LLMs themselves, the Sam Altmans of the world, they're saying, "Oh, everything's going to be fine. Don't worry about it. We've got it under control." There was an interesting piece by the Anthropic CEO who actually showed some things that didn't go right
Mm.
with Perplexity, and when asked why he's um, highlighting some of the mistakes, his answer was quite simply, "Well, I don't want to hide it and be, responsible for something that in the future sounds and feels a lot like the opioid crisis.
Right.
Why want to be the Sacklers who hid it all and knew that it wasn't all on the up and up. He said, I would rather not do that. I would rather say these are the risks that we're seeing and observing, and here's what we're doing about them. That could be all PR. I don't know, Loralyn, but yeah, time will tell. And so if you're not wanting to be on the bleeding leading edge and you're wanting someone else to dive in first and find out if the water is warm, I don't think anyone would fault anyone for that.
No, that's just where it's at, right? This whole brave new world and trying to figure it out. And I think that's part of the reason why Google's even behind in some of the AI game, because they had their systems that started to develop their own language and they shut that down and tried to figure that out. And they lost that critical 1 year of space, not to mention a lot of their engineers. And so those things take time to be able to recover from. And that said, I don't know where any of that's going to go. But what I do know is that small businesses, small business owners, entrepreneurs are plagued by the conundrum of choice. I can go here, 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 click this tool, buy this tool. I'm going to buy on price. I'm going to buy on this, whatever it is. And then also, even with the number of consultants and folks that are available, folks like yourself, like myself, who are out there and say, yeah, we've got all of this expertise and experience, but everybody's got so much choice, they don't know what to do. Do they default to the default, that is, to the low touch, low cost AI tool? Or do they try to go into that high touch, higher cost? Hey, I want some of that expertise and those insights and stuff that you have. And I think it depends on finding your niche.
Yeah. And there's always that middle ground of
Right.
I'm going to do it myself as a high touch approach, but outsource a lot of the legwork and the grunt work to the AI tools. I a Chat GPT Plus subscription is a $20 a month subscription. It's not the most expensive option out there. And yeah, careful prompting, you can create a version of that chat GPT that is your marketer, another one that is your sales outreach, another one that is your HR lead. But as you get increasingly into the topics that are like your money or your life kind of thing, the YM, YL, well, maybe that's where you get a human and to guide you, because the cost of really making a poor decision is quite high. I would not recommend, for example, you use your lawyer as ChatGPT. Although some lawyers have been doing that and getting caught by judges. So, like you said, it's a brave new world.
There is that, but I like that your money, your life as that boundary, because I use a lot of the AI tools. I have my advisory board and I supplement information there. I do research here, narrow this down. Is this scope? I A/B test. Was this going to work better? Is this going to work better? These kinds of things, but I don't let it write for me.
Yeah,
Very picky about
yeah.
that.
I think letting it write for you or using Sora to generate video, it approximates humanity and creativity for sure. Very closely, it approximates it. But it's mostly, in my experience, better used to do legwork. Analyze these two numbers, reports, and tell me which one had a better efficacy on dimension XYZ. That that is a fact. That is knowable, and you could take the time to do it, or you could just have someone else do it for you.
I agree. I use a lot for analysis. It's better than I am, for sure. When it comes to analysis, it's faster. Now, turning all this around and where we are here as we're getting close to the end of our show, what do you advise your small business owners, your entrepreneurs to do? Because you're all about efficiency and growth and innovation. And you've provided some of the insights already that, hey, growth hacking is bananas. It's nonsense. You're going to actually have to do the work. What else what other wisdom and experience and those expert insights that Google and all of the rest of these are desperate to get from us? What do you advise your clients? What do you say? What do you tell them?
Don't think, do sometimes. There are two, this is uh, a learning that came from Jeff Bezos. There are two kinds of decisions in business. He called them type 1 and type 2. Not very creative, but a type 1 decision is one that is really important. It's like a one-way door. When you walk through that particular door or make that decision, the door is going to slam shut behind you and lock. So should we acquire a company? Should we open a new office in Des Moines? That's a decision that once you make it and you start putting it in motion, it's really hard to unwind. And then type 2 decisions are ones that you can easily change. Should I post on Twitter or Blue Sky? Which social media channel? Like you can run experiments and tests and then decide that whatever you want to do and go back. So it's a two-way door. You can go in and out of the door. It swings both ways. 80% of the decisions that we'll make as business owners are probably type 2, if not more, if not a higher percentage. There are very few decisions that are type 1. And yet most business owners treat every decision like type 1. Every decision is a reflection on them personally, because they are the owner and founder and operator of the business. Oftentimes it's their name up on the sign, and they don't want to make a mistake. But in reality, not especially in consumer businesses I spend a lot of time in consumer businesses. Consumers don't even remember they saw you until you tell them 17 times. So decisions that we all think are incredibly important and one-way door decisions, they're really more like two-way door decisions. So make a quick decision, see what happens, treat it as an experiment, and then learn from that decision and improve your decision, right? So that would be the philosophy that I would bring and hope that everyone would abide by.
I agree, because it's too easy to be overwhelmed by too many decisions that we have to make. The story is often cited of Steve Jobs, who just went out and bought 10 black cashmere turtlenecks and 10 pairs of jeans, all the exact same, and said, this way I don't have to think about what I'm going to wear. It's one less decision I have to make in a day. And I think about the story, I can't remember who it is now, but the CEO had a psychotic break, rapid startup, high growth. And what happened is he got asked what brand of toilet paper that they should be buying for the office, and he lost it.
Whoa.
He's just like, I can't take this anymore, right?
I guess everyone has their limits.
I would agree. Now, that said, where can folks find you, Matthew?
Well, you can always find me on LinkedIn. I'm pretty active there. I have MatthewMamet.com as well up and running, where you can learn more about my coaching services. And I'd be happy to say hi and have a chat with anyone who's interested in talking about growth and product. It's stuff that really excites me.
Excellent. And for those that are curious, of course, we'll have it in the notes, but if you're listening, Matthew has two T's, Mathew, and Mamet is Mamet. So that's MatthewMamet.com. You can find him there. And then as we wrap up, signature question, Matthew, most important of all the ones we've talked about. If we looked into your closet and there was a pair of footwear or clothes, something that had your signature all over it, it just embodied who you are, what are we looking at?
Well, it's funny that you should ask that question, especially since you reminded everyone of the Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg thing, because lately it's been a lot of black T-shirts. And I have a stack of black and navy blue dark T-shirts that I don't have to think about what to wear in the morning. I just pluck it out and put it on. And so I've been I've been testing out. It's a type 2 decision. Can I be like one of these people who wears the same thing every single day? That's what I've been doing for the past few months in the wardrobe department.
There we go. And can you distinguish navy blue from black? Because I find
Not
that hard
online,
too.
you can't. Although I don't know, I'm more of a blue guy myself. My mother always said it brings out the blue in my eyes, so I like to wear my
Well,
blue.
there you go. Okay. So, folks, with that, we've had a fascinating conversation here about what you have to do and the bottom line, the net, as I like to say, and all of us that were on that journey at the turn of the century here, bringing it in, you got to do the work. There is no real hack that's instant anything.
There's no shortcuts to success.
That's right. Right. You got to grind through it. All right. Matthew Mamet, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks for having me, Loralyn. I had a great time.